Yeah, welcome to the pod where the talk is elite. Matt, Jerry, Dennis, PJ, and Nick in the seats. Breaking down the plays, yeah, we're keeping it real. It's the Jets Group Chat Pod, here's the deal. We're flying high, we're repping green. From the huddle to the dream, you know what we mean. Hot takes, deep dives, we got your back. On the Jets Group Chat Pod. From the draft to the wins, the losses we feel. We're the voices of the fans, yeah, the passion's real. Tune in every week, don't miss a snap. It's the Jets Group Chat Pod, bringing the facts. So grab your gear, let's hit the air. Jets Nation's calling, we'll meet you there. Matt, Jerry, Dennis, PJ, and Nick on track. It's the Jets Group Chat Pod.
Welcome back in, ladies and gents, to the Group Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kardos. I'm joined tonight by my buddy here, handsome Jerry Spiga. What's going on, my guy?
What's up, my esteemed colleague? How you doing, sir? It's been a minute.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. We couldn't get you. Apparently, you were sick, dying in bed on the last one. We tried to get you on with JP from the history committee, and
I was rough. I only get sick like once every couple of years, and this was one of those times. I was out for the count, my dude. I didn't leave bed for like 3 days.
yeah, I knew you had to be bad because you weren't answering texts for days, and I'm like, either Spiga's pissed at all of us and just like he's not with the group chat anymore, or
I would never do that.
Going on. Because I was even like, "Are you all right?" Like, like sending like a wellness check, and you weren't answering, and I'm like, I'm starting to get legitimately worried that, like, my guy might be,
I didn't even know where my phone was. It was one of those things where it's like, I was down, laid down, I was out for the count, and I got up. It was a Tuesday, so here we are.
Yeah, I hear that, brother. But yeah, we missed you on the last one, but all the more reason to catch up here. I know, a lot's been going on this offseason with the Jets. Of course, we went through another now Darren Mougey's second full offseason.
Yep.
Second run at free agency, second
and a
draft. Yep. I guess just what are your overall thoughts on, how did Mougey do this offseason in terms of, I think the goal, at least in my opinion, is to raise the floor of this team at least, to make yourself more competitive, get yourself back to respectability.
Right.
Playoff, everybody wants to ultimately like the playoffs, but Rome wasn't built in a day, as you say. I don't think you could realistically hope to take the team where they were a year ago and make them a playoff team this year. Crazier things have happened, but I think at this point the goal is to just bring them back to respectability and not be embarrassed to say you're a Jets fan or wear your Jets shirt.
Right. No, I think you said it right. It was raising the floor of this team. I think it was building out the roster the right way. I mean, for how many years was it just Band-Aids and sticks that we just shoved together with mud to make what we thought was a competent team, and then what happened during the season? Boom, crash and burn. I feel like when you're pissing a lot of people off early on, I feel like this means they're doing a good job. And they did, and Mougey made some moves that I'm happy with. I know we were, but I think his draft, he got hit it out of the park. I know with the two, I know we said it, we were taking bets. I lost a huge bet because I was like, there's no way he's going to pass on Arvell Reese. Especially with all that was coming out. They told Bailey, nah, you don't need to come back here. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you cancel a top 5 visit, 2 weeks for the draft? But he did, and they took him. And who knows? Arvell Reese is a specimen, but again, as we talked about, you don't know what you're going to get with him. What position is he going to play? How is he going to play that position? How is he going to, fit and gel with the other pieces that you have? But I think David Bailey, he started to grow on me. The whole lateral quickness thing. Who cares? He's a dog. He gets after the quarterback. No gloves, no flash. I fucking love it. I think he hit that one out of the park. And surprise of the draft to me, Kenyon Sadiq, I had nowhere near him on my radar. It's growing on me. He's a playmaker, because he could play a little bit of tight end. He could play a little bit of slot receiver. He could play on the outside. He could do anything. True Swiss Army knife. But I think when that pick happened, all of us, everyone's question marks in the chat. We're like, what the fuck are they doing? Now looking back into it and hearing everybody, they love that pick. I think he's going to be a huge weapon for Geno Smith, and he's going to open up a lot for Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to open up a lot more for Mason Taylor. The NFL is going towards more of that 2 tight ends, the dynamic athletic tight ends, not the tight ends of our old. But I think they're keeping up with the trend, but they're making decisions that are best for the team. Everyone, we'll get Lemon. Like, we don't need him. He didn't fit maybe here. That's fine. And they stuck to their guns. They know what they wanted, and they didn't get bullied by the board or they didn't get bullied by Jets Twitter. So I'm happy about that, and I think Mougey is doing a fucking bang-up job across the board, and, I can't ask for any more.
Yeah, I think we were all on the same page that I thought they were definitely going in the direction of Reese. I was pretty outspoken about it, and I'm not shy on taking the L on that. I thought Reese was, I can't go change my two now. I think long-term Reese still might be the best play. But the more I don't think I honestly spent much time through the pre-draft process to where, I just kind of automatically shooed Bailey away because I thought so emphatically Reese was the guy. But once they actually, I had to live with the fact that they took Bailey, in diving more into who he is as a player and watching more film on him than I had, and looking at the raw data, the numbers, the analytics on him, like, he's a pass rusher, man. Like, there's no mistaking. Like, I think I don't know what the metric was, but like he graded out as the best pass rusher to come out of the draft in the last like 7 years.
Yeah.
Since Hutchinson, I think he's the highest rated pass rusher since that draft. So he's he's got the goods, if you will, to be an elite, 14, 15 sack a year guy if things play out the way we hope they will. My fear, I guess, when they took him, and I guess is still a fear now, and this is going to be on AG to change that, and to a greater extent, bringing back Carl Dunbar, I think that's where, he comes into play. But can he be on the field for 3 downs? Like, the last thing the Jets need is another Will McDonald guy.
Another situational pass rusher. Like, no,
right.
You need a 3-down, tried and true defensive playmaker. And that's what you thought really Reese was. You thought you'd be able to kind of tuck him on the outside or inside, or throw him on the off-ball linebacker for the first and second down, then throw him on the edge to rush the passer on the 3rd down. Like, you would find a way to use a guy who's a specimen like that. Now, do we know that that's what they're going to do or not do with Bailey? Who knows? They might have a plan for him. He might maybe tuck inside, or they run some crazy fronts. But to your point, like, I trust Carl Dunbar. I really do. One of the better D lines that the Jets have had in recent memory was under Carl Dunbar. So if anybody can figure it out, it's him. I just thought he would be able to get creative with the Swiss Army knife that was Orville Reese. It's David Bailey. Who knows? We'll see. There's a connection. Wasn't it Bailey left Stanford when Frank Reich became the head coach of Stanford? Wasn't there like a crazy connection on that?
Yeah, and apparently I don't know them by name, but I know there's like 3 or 4 people that were on the Stanford staff that are now on this staff.
So maybe they saw something that most people
Correct.
don't. You want that kind of insight on a guy, and if you have it, why not use it and listen to it? So maybe we're getting pushed in a direction, that Jet fans are so unaccustomed to, but maybe that's because this is where like the NFL is going. Maybe it's a good thing, that we're all unhappy about it. Or we're unhappy, or whatever you want to say.
And that's what I think I was saying to you guys on draft night too, is, I've been upset at Jets draft picks before, and they end up it's usually the ones that I don't like that end up turning out to be pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like a draft pick. They usually turn out to not be so good. So, it's not always the way I think it's going to play out but to that point too, Bailey's in the fold now. He's going to have every chance to succeed here in this defense. He's going to get a lot of reps. He's going to be on the field a lot. Like you, Sadiq, surprising obviously at 16. I don't think I was shocked as much as a lot of other people, just because there was some chatter about maybe not so much the Jets being in on Sadiq specifically, but the fact that those receivers that we talked about in the pre-draft process, like, Tyson and
the big body guys.
Yeah, Cooper and Tate even, it's crazy that we ended up with Cooper where we did, because he was a guy that they were talking about going like 11 to the Rams in that pre-draft process. So there was chatter and scenarios where, the Jets get there at 16 and all the receivers were gone. And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, taking Sadiq was in one of those scenarios. And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it was like, what do the Jets do now if all the receivers are gone? And, it but I don't think most people expected Lemon to still be on the board at 16 and the Jets to not
But
go.
Lemon does not fit the Frank Wright offensive scheme. He doesn't have that, like, all the small gadget guys. He likes the big body targets. I feel like even Garrett Wilson, granted he is a superstar, but one could argue he doesn't fit that Frank Wright mold because of the guys, like you said, they were looking at. They were looking at the Boston. They were looking at the Simpson. Not Simpson. The guy you just said, but it's blanking
Tyson.
on me. Tyson, not Simpson. You said the Rams, and I was thinking of Tyson, and I was like,
yeah.
Sucks that they still can, but he's going to be good soon. Anyway, but he doesn't fit that mold, and I think it was the worst case scenario for Jet fans, but I feel like in the building they had Sadiq way higher than most people, whether it's on other draft boards or on the fans' draft boards. So I think to them, he fell in their lap, whereas others were like, oh, we took a consolation prize. I think he's going to be good, man. He's a freak of nature. He fast, catches everything. I mean, he's, from all you hear, a good locker room guy. And for me, you got the Dante Moore connection for next year.
Yeah, there's a lot of discourse about that. I think I think he, I think it, and I don't think it's specific to him, but it feels like tight ends take a longer time to develop. And there's exceptions. Brock Bowers was good right away.
Ty Warren last year,
last year. But for the most part, a lot of tight ends sometimes take a year or two until they kind of explode and take that next step. I feel like in year one, I don't know if at the end of the year you're looking like Sadiq has like 7 touchdowns and 800 yards receiving and 75
That's
catches.
a success in my eyes. That's huge.
I mean that you sign up for that now. I don't know that you necessarily can expect that in year one though, I think you maybe are looking more along the lines of like a Mason Taylor line from this past year, 35 catches, 400 yards, a couple touchdowns, but just the way he plays, though, he impacts the game in so many different ways that don't necessarily show up,
In the box score, 100%.
Right. You could look at the box score and he has, 3 catches for 42 yards, but, he might, set a block on the edge or, they're going to flex him out of the backfield a lot, right? He's going to be like a decoy in a lot of instances as well. But it just gives the Jets another weapon that needs to keep everybody honest. Especially when you have both of them on the field, when you have Sadiq and Taylor on the field, you could almost split Taylor out wide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Taylor has that wide receiver body. And so I know a lot of people talk about the Jets wide receiver depth or lack thereof. I mean, it's a little bit better now that they got Cooper in the draft. But, you're going out there every week with Garrett Wilson, obviously, and then you're going to have Cooper and you're going to have A.D. Mitchell. Those are going to be your core 3 guys. But then you have the 2 tight ends. You have Breece Hall, who's arguably, your best receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just have a ton of options that the defense has to account for when they're on the field. And you could, schematically, you could have all of them on the field at the same time, when you go out of the shotgun. And, it just, for an offense that's been so putrid and, so behind the times of where the NFL is going, to give yourself a dynamic guy who could, is a mismatch on anybody that's going to line up against him. He's like you kind of alluded to. He's a physical specimen. He's a freak. There's just nobody that could, there's nobody that could line up and cover that guy. He's just so much bigger, so much faster to where, he's going to be open a lot. And if they scheme it up the right way, which is another, thing where you hope Frank Reich,
has an idea what to do with him.
Correct. It feels like the Jets are always playing a different sport. Like when you watch the Jets play and they roll out this offensive game plan, you're going up against Sean McVay and the LaFleur brothers and all these guys that, are going where the offenses in the league are going. And then you have, us. Run, pass. There's no creativity. There's just, it's been so exhausting.
And that's why
I just be a middle of the pack offense. Can we be like 16th in the league, 17th in the league?
And that's why, to your point, like, looking at like, oh, Sadiq, we could have had this, we could have that. We as Jet fans are in no position to turn down any type or any semblance of a weapon, period, at any position. We talked about it early on. We talked about it before the draft. We talked about it plenty, during and after in the group chat. It's like everybody on this team is on notice. Granted, at the time, we didn't re-sign Hall, but like anything and everything was on the table. Outside of like a Garrett Wilson, your two bookend tackles, every position was up for grabs and open. You could have went in any direction, and you could push yourself in a position. I understand it. And then now looking back, and now looking at kind of hopefully the way they're going to use Sadiq, mismatch nightmare, speed. Imagine linebackers trying to cover him, and man, like you said it perfectly. Him, Garrett Wilson, and AD, and Mason Taylor, and Breece Hall all on the field at the same time.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough cover for other teams. It's just a matter of can you utilize it well, and can Geno Smith throw the ball to the guys in green, and not the other team. That remains to be seen. I don't know. It might just me, being that optimistic rah Jets fan that I am, but I feel like we're poised for like a Geno bounce back. I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as he looked in Vegas last year. We're only a year removed from him, being a Pro Bowl
leading the league in passing,
thrown for 4K a couple times. Like I'm not expecting to come in here and throw for 4K, but
I'll take it.
Can we get a 3,000 yard passer? Like can we do that? Because that's even a rare occurrence around here. But there's just a lot more. We keep saying it, and it's going to get old, and we're going to say it a lot over the summer. But like raising the floor.
That's what it is. All it is.
The Jets have to be in the business right now. I think as fans, we're realistic, and this isn't a playoff team right now. Probably isn't even a playoff team a year from now. But like, can you get it set up for in like a year or two? You're just littered with all this young and good talent that's ready to win.
And try to make a run.
Next year, when we go into that draft with 3 first-round picks, you're going to add 3 more premium players to the 3 first-round picks you had this year, and the second-round picks that you had, and it's just stockpiling talent. And when you finally find the quarterback, that's the best recipe to win right away, is to have a lot of talent around him that is cheap. You don't have to pay. And, they're set up to do that. If these picks that they made this past year and the 3 that they have, or actually the 4 premium picks, I'd call a second-round pick a premium pick as well.
I would.
The 4 premium picks that you have in next year's draft, you got to hit on all of them, because it could dramatically, if we're talking at this time a year from now,
it's a quarter of your roster, a quarter of your starting lineup.
Yeah, 100%. Those are all going to be starting players that you're adding to the mix. And we hope one of them is going to be a quarterback, but
imagine you don't need to waste any of those premium picks on a quarterback, because Cade Klubnik is the savior.
Are you on that?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not.
I'm intrigued.
He's a good player. Think of it this way. He is 12 months removed from being the way too early mock draft runaway number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. No, I know.
Him, Nussmeier, Drew Allard, all of those guys. Now, granted, they went to school. They bet on themselves, lost, whether it's because of injury. I know Allard got hurt, and I know Nussmeier had that shit going on with his oblique. Cade Klubnik didn't really have a great offensive line, didn't really have a great offense in general. I don't know what the hell they were doing over there. But the talent is there. He's been a winner everywhere he's gone. He's been a top 5 recruit. He was a 5-star player. He came in. He was supposed to be the heir apparent to Trevor Lawrence, who was the other generational guy. Great. He was good. Didn't totally live up to the hype that he should have. But again, good, solid player, great awareness, pretty decent arm, but great accuracy. But again, in Clemson, in the ACC, doing well. Has a really bad down year. The worst time to have that year is when you're going into the draft. But this could be an opportunity where you find a guy who was just didn't play up to what he should have been. Now he's going to get a true year to just sit down and learn and watch. And who the fuck knows what happens?
Right. He's a lottery ticket.
He's a lottery ticket, but I'd rather that than, again, you're wasting a premium pick this year on a very, very weak class and then trying to, reach, again, the way the draft board played out. He didn't need to. But look how early on everyone's like, oh, you got to get Ty Simpson at 16. He might be good in 2 years. Who knows? But I feel a little bit better about the lottery ticket with with Klubnik because, again, everybody hated it. And what happens when everybody hates the pick?
I didn't, and I'll be honest, I didn't know a ton about. I knew who he was, but like he was so far off the radar, even in like mock drafts. Like they had him going in like
he had that bad of a year.
Picks, like
Clemson had that bad of a year.
I didn't even account for him, and the fact that I'm not necessarily mad that they took him, because if they would have took him at the end of the draft and you told me they added him to the mix, I'd be like, all right, cool. Just like I said, like a lottery ticket. But the fact that they traded up and traded away picks to go up and get him, I was like,
so here's my thing. So here's my, well, true, but who knows? Again, hindsight, is different.
But
because
that was my reaction on draft day. I've come around
I know.
to it now.
Nussmeier went super late.
Yeah, he's the savior at this point. We just traded for the Brock Purdy of the draft.
But here's how it played out. They know, we know, the rest of the league knows the Jets are targeting a quarterback in 2027. They went to Frank Reich and said, who do you like?
Yeah.
Who? Name somebody that you like. And again, he could have threw out a name and they would have tried again, and then saying Ty Simpson in the first round. They probably would have made a play to have it happen. Who knows? They might have had some inside knowledge that somebody else loved him too. But they went to him, said, who's your guy? And he said, this guy, Cade Klubnik. I love him. I love everything he has. He's got that Parcells 5-tool manager, whatever the hell it is, where, all the starts, all the completion percentage for your, captain, all that shit. Take a flyer. And if that's his guy, and he's probably done more homework on all those quarterbacks than anybody else, and he handpicks them, and you have to move up a little bit to get him, it's a 4th-round pick. You know who our 4th-round pick was a couple years ago? Fucking James Morgan.
Yeah. Not
you know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like, most of the guys in those 4th rounds, they are a flyer. So if you see a guy with a high perennial talent, what's the harm? And again, I've kind of come around. I tailor my expectations. But I find it very intriguing that they said we're going to wait to see how he performs in minicamp before we sign a backup quarterback, which is very intriguing.
I mean, where they are as a franchise, they should. I mean, if Geno Smith goes down and gets hurt, your season's in the fucking toilet anyway, right? So, like, you need something intriguing at that point. Geno Smith goes down. Do I want to see Tyrod Taylor for 6 weeks again in a season where, if Geno goes down, I want to maximize my draft positioning anyway.
Yeah, give me Billy Zappi.
Yeah, kind of like last year. Like once it became apparent that Justin Fields couldn't play, who did we want? We all wanted the kid off the practice squad, the undrafted kid. We all wanted. Yeah, we wanted to see Cook. We didn't want, we didn't care what happened with Tyrod Taylor. We wanted to see Cook.
Right.
We wanted to see a kid that was literally undrafted over a proven veteran, just because it's the element of we don't know. Maybe he's great.
He might be Mike White. Who knows?
Yeah, right, exactly. And so obviously we saw Cook, and he was fucking arguably one of the
not cooking.
I think I would have. You could argue like it was Tim Boyle-esque, like that bad. But it's a lot of that, because you don't know what he is. But if there's a scenario where Geno just doesn't play well or Geno gets hurt, give me the kid, because what's going to happen is there's
only 2 ways it goes. There's only 2 ways that it goes.
Can Klubnik just be like an NFL backup to where, like, he could? I know he can play if I need him to play, but maybe he just doesn't have the goods to be a starter. But like,
that was my next point.
You have kind of like it's a bad example, and it's just the first one that comes to mind. But like the Niners know they have like Mac Jones in their back pocket to where like he could play for 6 or 7 weeks if he has to, and he's not going to hurt them. Like, can Klubnik just turn into an NFL quarterback that, is
a solid
just
backup,
a steady guy? Because in a year from now, chances are, if the season goes off the rails, which there's every chance that it could, the Jets are probably going to be picking at the minimum in the top 10 of the draft next year, and they're going to be targeting a quarterback.
Yeah, with 7 quarterbacks who can go in the top 15.
Yeah, and that always shakes out too, right? There were 7 quarterbacks that were going to go in the top 10 this year too, and they all went. Klubnik was one of them. So you don't know what the fall has in store and summer scouting and all that coming up. But in a year from now, chances are the Jets are taking a quarterback in the first round. How they do it, I don't know. Whether they take him organically, they package picks to move up to get one. but they have 3 first-round picks. They have more ammo than anybody. Shit, maybe the Colts are terrible, and the Colts are picking in the top 5 because I think there's every chance that that's a possibility next year. But come hell or high water, the Jets are going to take a quarterback in the first round of the draft next year. I think that's the expectation. My fear is though with Klubnik, if you don't see him play at all this year, just Geno's whatever. When are you ever going to see him? You know what I'm saying? Like
You don't.
And maybe that's not a bad thing, but
Unless he becomes, like you said, a very, very, I don't want to say highly touted, but above average backup. There's a place in the NFL for that
place.
For that 33 to 65 ranked quarterbacks in the world.
Yeah.
Look at Chase Daniels made his bones on just being a backup. Look at the Broncos this year.
Zach Wilson is still getting jobs.
But that's my point. That arguably one of the most important positions on an NFL roster is the backup quarterback for that exact reason. Bo Nix went down in right before the AFC Championship, and you had to trot out fucking I don't even remember his name. Jarrett Stidham, and he didn't do awful.
Yeah,
but again, now imagine if you had to trot out Billy Zappi, Mike White, Kevin Falk. You feel a lot better knowing it's an above average guy who's solid, has a solid floor, can win you a couple games. He's not going to set the world on fire, but Matt Flynn.
That's why it's always like an interesting dynamic, and that's where the whole Ty Simpson pre-draft thing came into. Is if you take Ty Simpson, particularly if you take him at 16 or with that pick 33 that they had in the first pick of the first round before they traded up, that was like the hot place where everybody thought Simpson would go if the Jets were going to take him. My point still stands for him. If you take Ty Simpson this year, you have already added Geno Smith. You promised him the starting job. When exactly are you seeing Ty Simpson play?
Before next year, correct?
Before you would feel comfortable, not taking a quarterback next year. You don't let a 4th round quarterback now sway you from doing that. The Ty Simpson in round 1 or early round 2, that plays into that decision. Right. Obviously, Klubnik is not going to affect them adding another quarterback next year. There's no reason why he couldn't be on the roster and, coexist with another quarterback that they particularly bring in. But I'm just interested to see, how he develops along the way. Can he become a viable, at least backup quarterback? Because shit, man, he's got the aura. Like they play the videos of him with his hair running onto the field.
Just walking out of the locker room. Literally, that's all it was.
And he just said he smells like a franchise quarterback. He looks like a franchise quarterback. Like he stands up at the podium, man. I listened to his post draft, his first rookie mini camp that they had. Man, I want so badly for that guy to be the franchise quarterback because
he's been groomed for this.
Yeah,
he was a 5-star athlete coming out of high school. Now you're one of the premier college football towns. You're down at Clemson. He was, again, up until the last season, pegged for the top 5, top 2 first overall pick. For the past 6 years, he's been conditioned for this. So it's like he's almost taking care of that weird part of giving the keys to the castle. Just fucking do what you do best, which is just play football. Just be good.
Yeah, I know. I agree, man. It's definitely a fascinating dynamic. I do think you're going to see him at some point next year. I don't know how we get to that point, right?
It'll be a fun storyline all year. Is exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, as the Jets are, right? The Jets are always a fun storyline. You never get through 1 year with the same quarterback. The Jets usually get to quarterback 3 or quarterback 4 before the season's out, with the exception of which is crazy enough. I think the last year that they got through a season with the same quarterback was Rodgers a couple of years ago, which, for a guy that was old as shit coming off an Achilles, he started, I think, every game in that 24 season. But
he just wasn't good.
But most years otherwise, the Jets are trotting out 3, 4, 5 different quarterbacks, some of them off the street. So can we develop a competent backup, please? Can we do that?
We'll see. Time will tell. Who knows?
Yeah. And that's another thing I want a touch on while we're kind of talking about the quarterback, because the big story in the news in the last day or so has been Brendan Sorsby. College quarterback. He's caught up in the whole, gambling, placing bets on his team. Obviously, I think he placed them to win though, but obviously that's never good. It's
Right.
they take away his NCAA eligibility yesterday, and so I think he has a court date. From what I read, I think his court date. I'm just double checking.
Didn't the NCAA today or this morning decline his last round of?
They declined his eligibility, so he's officially from the NCAA standpoint, he doesn't have eligibility to come back to Texas A&M or excuse me, Texas Tech. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they took away his eligibility, but he has he's like appealing it to the court. I think on June 1st.
Jesus Christ!
And so it's in Lubbock, which is where Texas Tech is. So depending on how that court proceeding plays out, I think is going to tell us whether there's going to be an NFL supplemental draft. I think
that people care about.
I think he has till June. I think June 22nd is the hard deadline to know whether he's there, whether that's going to happen or not. So
yeah,
in the next couple of weeks, we're going to know if that's an option or not. But I'm curious, because he's a lot like what you just talked about, Klubnik, except he's not really coming off a down year. He's coming off a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably needs another year of playing time, but for all intents and purposes, he had a solid year for Texas Tech last year. Obviously, he's transferred a couple times, Cincinnati, and he started at Indiana. So he's one of the guys that, just like everybody else, moves around. They follow the money in the transfer portal with the nil shit. But I mean, this guy potentially is going to be available in the supplemental draft. And if I understand, because, it's not something we see that often anymore, but the way I understand it, there's 3 tiers to the supplemental draft. First crack, which is tier 1, is any team that won 6 games or less gets first crack. You're pretty much blindly bidding. And, you're pretty much bidding a draft pick for the right to secure the kid. And I looked at the teams that won. I'm going to pull it up here. I looked at the teams yesterday that won 6 games or less last season, and that Jets. Yeah, right. So,
but while you're looking that up, to answer your question that's inevitably coming, and I'll do it quick to buy you some time, the answer is yes. Yes, so I take a flyer. Here's exactly why. What did we just say about Kenyon Sadiq? For a team that has been starving for talent, a team that has been starving for a quarterback, you are in no position. Again, you're not going to throw a first-round bid on him. You're not going to throw a second-round bid on it. I could talk myself into a 3, but 4 on, I'm in. You are in no position when a competent, good quarterback, again, is gambling. Let's call it what it is. It's gambling. Every kid nowadays is gambling, and it's on DraftKings. He's betting Korean baseball at 2 a.m. Who doesn't get fucked up and do that and bet cricket? You know what I mean? It's a kid having fun. Now, granted, does he have a degenerate problem? Probably not, but you'll say that just to keep the NCAA off your back.
You got something to tell us, Spiga?
I love fucking gambling on all that shit. Absolutely. I call my dad, and he logs into my DraftKings account, and he bets for me. Because I hate Hard Rock down here. It sucks. Anyway, you're in no position to turn down talent anywhere it is. He didn't beat up his girlfriend. He's not getting into it. He's not getting arrested or all this weird shit that's everywhere else in the NFL.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose? You're in no position to say no.
Yeah. And I guess I'm just skeptical because of, like you said, the whole I get it. It's the thing to do. It's in. Everybody gambles. Everybody's got it right on their phone. But and I don't even care at the level.
It's immature. It's immature.
Sure, he has an addiction, a gambling addiction, whatever. If that's what you want to call it, that's what he says he has. He's in rehab for it. All the power to him. I commend him for it. But the fact that he wasn't that self-aware, you're making on these nil deals. You're at a premier college football program. You're the quarterback. You're projected to be a first-round pick. Put your fucking phone away, man.
But you don't think they're all doing it though? For real,
I'm sure they are. But
he got caught, and it shows his immaturity.
It would just make me skeptical more about the aptitude of the kid. Like, how smart is he if he's doing that? Is the character, the intelligence. Again, I don't know much about him. I truthfully haven't spent more than a few minutes watching some highlights, but I haven't watched any interviews. I don't know what kind of kid he is.
How many times was Rice get arrested?
And he's still gonna get chances, man. Because like you said, talent
wins out. Talent's the best deodorant.
All right, so this is what we got. The Titans, no, they have Cam Ward. They're not going to be an option. The Giants, no, they have Jackson Dart. They're comfortable there. Washington, no, Jaden Daniels.
I don't know.
I can't see them being comfortable in second or third round pick there.
No, not a second or third, but I could see them putting a flyer. And do they have to give a 1, 2, or 3?
You have to give whatever you're comfortable with. You don't know what every other team is bidding.
I could see Washington throwing a 4 or 5 in. I could see them throwing their a flyer in.
The Browns, maybe, but they have 7 quarterbacks. Like I don't know, we're just gonna add another one to the island of misfit toys.
Yeah, because they all suck. Next,
yeah, hard to see that. The Chiefs, obviously not. The Bengals, obviously not. So it leads me to the 2 that I could conceivably see. One more so than the other. The Saints, how comfortable are they with Tyler Shuck? I like him. Do they are they if he's the guy moving forward?
I could arguably see that. I could see the Bengals taking a flyer on him more than they do.
Yeah, and then the Saints do. I would think the biggest threat to the Jets would be Arizona. They did just draft Beck, but similar to Klubnik, it's not like a premium pick. And the only other guy they have there is Brissett. He's not a long-term guy. The thing is, I think those 2 teams, particularly the Jets and Arizona, I think you're talking third-round pick. Blindly throw it up there. I think if you want to guarantee getting him, you're going to have to do the second. I would,
but I wouldn't do 2. I wouldn't do it 2.
See, I think the second, whichever team throws up the second is going to get him. Because I think they both would throw up a third, which I think they'd both be comfortable doing.
But then it puts us. Let's say we do. Let's say you're convincing yourself.
I don't want to interrupt you, but it all. And the only thing I think that I would be comfortable doing the 2 is they have 3 1s next year.
Yeah. But see, then you put yourself in the position that you just feared before. You don't want to go into next year with having to probably draft a quarterback in the first round with not knowing who Klubnik is.
But this is one of the guys. This is one of the guys you might be drafting in the first round next year, and you're getting him in the second round. I mean, if he goes out and has a good year, you're talking about a kid that could be a top 5 or top 10 pick. You're getting him for a second or a third round pick. It's obviously a gamble. And I think there's also an element that we can't really, we'll definitely revisit this conversation, in the next episode or 2 when we have more clarity on what's going to happen. But I think there's also every chance that if he is eligible for the supplemental draft, he might be suspended for like a year. Like
probably.
I think like the NFL will be like, yeah, cool, you could get drafted, but like you're going to sit for a year.
But in theory, any one of those teams who drafts him, you're going to take the first year to take a look at him. Granted, it's a short
get him in the building. Yeah, get him in the building.
But I mean, then you're really throwing away a second round pick.
Yeah, I just think for where the Jets are and how starved they've been for a quarterback, like
and that's my point.
They need as many dart throws as they can. Like you got Klubnik, fuck it, throw him in. You got Sorsby, fuck it, throw him in. Like just keep draft one every year if you have to. I don't care.
That's why I've said it 100 times.
Eventually, you have to find the guy, right? Like eventually, you're going to find one that's at least
keep drafting, keep signing, keep doing it. I mean, don't keep trying to reinvent the wheel. But that's what they try to do with Justin Fields. Justin Fields was he 4-2 in Pittsburgh before they gave the reins back to Russell Wilson. So that wasn't a true dart throw. They thought they made an educated guess. He just didn't turn out the way they thought it would. I mean, most of us did, but who knows? Again, it was a low risk dart throw. I would do that every year. Somebody who, again, draft one every year. I'd sign a good one every year. I'd like the undrafted free agent. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Which I think is a good example of like what Geno Smith is. Like this is a guy who's thrown for 4,000 yards in 2 of the last 3 years. He's been a a Pro Bowler as recently as a year ago, all pro kind of guy. Like,
Yeah.
he's had his struggles here in New York, but that's also,
It's
13.
New York.
We're talking 13 years ago when he was a kid. I'm a lot different now at 21 than I was at 21. I think you are too, for sure. So
That's another podcast. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's the one Jenna Selly wanted to go on, but
Hey, that's why I didn't show up. I wasn't even sick. I just didn't show up. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. But I mean,
it's a good point, and I think again, star for talent, you're in no position to turn anybody away. I mean, granted, unless you got your morals, and I know they're really trying to crack down on sports gambling because, like you said, it is so apparent, it's everywhere. They are trying to really limit that as best they can, but unless that goes against what your code of ethics is internally, like, why not?
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's not Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, exactly.
What did he get in the supplemental draft? Did he get a 2?
No, I want to say it was a 3 or a 4.
If only there was a website you can go on and do it.
He went to
the Raiders, right?
That was Cleveland.
He was. I feel like he was definitely on the Raiders. He was on the Jets for a little bit. Supplemental draft. Let's see what it goes. Blah, blah, blah. Terrell Pryor was selected by the Oakland Raiders in the 3rd round of the 2011 supplemental
draft. So it was a 3. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think just the way the league values quarterbacks and the amount of teams
you'll have to do it too. Yeah.
I think to get him, you're going to have to do a 2, which I don't know. I got to know more about him, and I think the Jets would have to find out more about him too to be able to throw up a 2. But 3 for sure. Obviously, I think you'd be comfortable doing.
If Klubnik doesn't look good in the beginning of training camp, they'll talk themselves into a 2 or 3. If he's lighting it up and really good, I think it comes off the table.
Well, I think that's also interesting because I think if there is going to be a supplemental draft, it happens at the end of July, which is like right before training camp starts.
Damn it. Well,
So
we have OTAs. Let's say OTAs then. Let's see how he is in the building that way.
Yeah, which kind of brings me to my, I guess, kind of next talking point, and we'll wrap up here in a few. But just OTAs are obviously underway today. That mandatory and all that. Everybody's there. Everybody's in good spirits, and it's good to see the guys back with the gear on. You see the rookies. You see the guys they signed in free agency and whatever out there, and it's nothing you're really going to find out in OTAs. It's just a glorified kind of walkthrough and a little bit of an install for the new guys and stuff like that. But what are you kind of looking for, if anything, as the kind of get underway?
Unfortunately, it's the same thing we talk about every year. You're looking for continuity. You're looking for competence. I hate when we do summer quarterback tracking and it's like, oh, Justin Fields was 2 for 12 today with 4 picks. It's like, granted, he can't play, stat chaser. And it's like, oh, wow, Klubnik was 10 for 10 with 3 touchdowns because it means really nothing. It's more so I want to see how the guys gel. I want to see how, your stars gel. I mean, I want to see what Breece Hall looks like. I really do. I mean, now that he's got his long-term deal, he's not going to be bitching, hopefully. I want to see how he does. And I want to see how left guard looks. That's something they kind of didn't really lean into, whether it's in the draft or free agency. They signed one. I think they drafted one. But I don't think that they're in a true position to feel totally secure with the offensive line. How's Joe Tippmann going to look? I mean, and then the defense. I mean, there's a lot of changes on the deep. What's the linebacker core look like? That safety room, that secondary room is going to be, on paper, looking real good. His Pons
a lot of competition there, which is where a lot of these jobs are going to be won. That depth chart's going to be kind of figured out.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like they let Herb Charles go because, they feel like special teams is going to be a coveted spot because there are going to be a lot of guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, who can play and will probably make their bones on special teams. But how does Geno look? Does he look like Geno of old, or does he look like Father Time's catching up with him? And who's going to fucking be our kicker? That's another thing I want to know. Like you just brought in. I hate him. He sucks. But like Cade York, I don't know. Like it's just I hate every year. Like you said, draft a quarterback every year. I feel like until you find your kicker, like I do in fantasy every year. A round early, I take the best defense or I'll take the best whatever because that's your best kicker. Because those are the ones where, like, if you don't have it, it fucking hurts. And if you have it, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, like, look at Greg the Leg. How many? What would have been our record that year? How many games did we lose under 2 points?
Yeah. How many did we win last year because of Nick Folk? He was our.
I don't know. He didn't retire. Where'd he go? What did he do?
Atlanta.
I would have kept him another year. He was great. I love Folk Hero.
Think they wanted to. I think he got more money than they probably thought he was going to get for, you know. And I do agree. I've heard a lot of the Jets beat writers talk about it. Like, he was good last year. He was consistent, but like, I think Connor Hughes said it, like, every time he had a kick from, like, you know, 48 or longer, like, he kind of held your breath. Like,
yeah.
You could kind of tell he doesn't have the smoke on the ball anymore from deep.
I mean, he's old.
Yeah, he made them last year, but like, I don't know. Looking at it and then what actually happening to the kick is two different things. Like, you know, it went through, but it was like,
no juice on it.
Yeah, like another year older, you're going to lose a little bit more. And I think the Jets were happy with him, and they would have been happy to have him back. But I think they do believe that, you know, the tank is about empty, and, you know, they wanted to go in another direction.
Get out a year earlier than a year late.
I will also, again, I'm with you, York, who maybe they're going to bring in another similar, like what they did with McNamara, the punter last year. Like, you know, maybe in training camp you have this, you bring in an undrafted kid to have some competition or something like that. But at this point, I'm going to trust Chris Banjo. I mean, he's shown he's one of the best special teams coaches in the league.
Yep.
He's making the call on who to bring in. He's obviously seeing something that, you know, we're not, or feeling something that we're not. And, you know, I think based on what we saw from that unit last year, it was the unquestioned best unit of the team.
Agreed.
I'm going to trust him, and kind of, you know, I'll defer to him to make that decision. If he feels comfortable with one of those two guys winning the job, then, you know,
so be it.
I'm sure no matter which one, if it's those two guys, York and Koo, I'm sure by week 4 they're looking for a kicker anyway. They're inevitably gonna miss. You know, it could be after week 1. What was that? A couple of years ago, we got that guy
Vedvik. He missed the kick his first week. You're out.
He missed like an extra point and 2 field goals in that opener against Buffalo. I don't think he made it out of week 1. After we wanted him on waivers all of training camp.
He was another good one for the Ravens for a while, and it was like, oh, this is a big pickup.
Yeah, it just did not work out. But I'm with you. I'm just glad to see OTA starting, and, you know, there's some. I don't dive into that, like, you know, rubbish, but there's obviously some stuff going on the other side of town with the other team. You know, off-field drama, and, you know, a lot of hoopla in the media where the Jets
stay out of the headlines.
Like, yeah, I'm just stay out of the headlines. Don't make fools out of yourself. Go through this OTA period, get into training camp healthy, and, you know, no distractions. You know, the Breece Hall deal,
that's why I'm happy it's done. No, there's no reason for them to be in the headlines now. There's no, like, oh, day 7 where he hasn't signed, or like, oh,
you know, even last year,
holdouts.
Like OTAs last year, like Sauce and Garrett still weren't done yet, like going into OTAs last year. Like, they eventually got done once, you know, training camp rolled around, but just, you went the whole summer not knowing whether those deals are going to get, like, just take care of all of your business. Most of their business is handled now. Like, all their draft picks are signed. They were signed in like the first week, you know. Yep. It's nice where, like, you know, Joe Douglas would like make Zach Wilson until training camp for, like, you know, offset language and, you know, some cockamamie clause that they would, you know, wait till the second week of training camp to figure out when meanwhile your second overall pick is missing valuable reps. Like, all the rookies are signed. They're all done. Like, they're there.
They're locked in.
Your guy that you franchise tagged, you're arguably your best offensive player. You extended him. Let's get the Joe Tippmann contract done. Like, let's get that extension done this summer before training camp starts. And, you know, just go into training camp with no distractions. Just handle your business and, you know, just act like a competent franchise. Just keep raising the floor of what you can be as a franchise to, you know, restore credibility and restore for us, like, as fans, we just want to be proud of this team again. Like,
yeah, we want something to watch.
Yeah, like I'm always going to be a Jets fan. There's no running away from that. If we haven't run by now, we're never going to. But it's tough taking L's every every week, and having to wear it. Taking strays from everybody that you see for wearing your hat, wearing your gear. It's frustrating. It's been a long 15 years, man. I want to see them back to respectability. Can we win 6 or 7 games and go into December? Just fighting maybe for a wild card. You don't even have to tell me that they're going to win it, but
just respectable football, something that you're happy to watch, and not like it's like fuck, I got to watch another Jet game this week.
Can we go into like week 13 or week 14 and be like, oh, if the Jets win out, they could conceivably clinch a playoff spot, but they need 3 other things to happen. Like at least I'm watching. Like there's a possibility they could.
I'm engaged, right?
Instead of by the end of September, the last couple of years, you're out. Like you already know what the deal is. We've all waited long.
You're damn right we have. We've earned it.
Let's just extend the season past Thanksgiving. Let's that would be
Let's make it to Halloween with not we're done.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, well, I appreciate you hopping on, Spiga. It's been real. Glad to get another one back under the saddle. It's been a while, but we'll get back to this regularly. Summer's here. I'm sure we're going to die down again for another couple weeks, but once we figure out what's going on with Sorsby and OTAs kind of wrap, and we get into the dog days of summer leading into training camp, we'll
dive right in.
Yeah, get some guests on. We'll get Rich Samini back on. Get Antoine Staley on, I think, at some point this summer, and talk to those guys about what's going on heading into training camp, like we do, every year. Get those guys on. So we'll have some stuff coming at you this summer from the beat guys. But
looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, man, it should be an interesting summer, and as always, everything's always interesting with the Jets, right? So you never know what. Here I am saying, there's no distractions. I'm sure we'll wake up in like 3 days and there'll be some bullshit that happens to erases all of that. But at
least we have the Mets to look forward to.
Yeah,
they're winning right now, 1-0.
I think I'd rather watch highlight videos of the Jets from last year than turn on a Mets game at this point. It's just unbearable. Unbearable.
I hate it. Well, hey, listen. We might be able to get a little Knicks tape. I know you're not a Knicks fan, but at least I'll be able to see one of my.
I'm pumped though. I'm pumped for the Knicks. I'm obviously a Nets fan. I grew up in Jersey. We're from Jersey. I grew up Nets fan, and I'm not one of those Nets fans that came on when like Jason Kidd came on. Like I was like Sam.
You're Keith Van Horn, baby.
Yeah, I have a Stephon Marbury Nets jersey. Like I was there before Kidd got there. So, and I know a lot of Nets fans jumped when they went to Brooklyn. I stuck. Been a lot of. It just figures all my teams they're all Nets, Jets. They all stuck. They're all they're all just like mirror images of each other. But, I'm happy for the Knicks because the Knicks are a lot like 70s. A lot of years in between, a lot of like bottom fit.
Yeah.
Ago, most of the 2000s they've been a joke. So, it if anything, I think it shows you what the city can be when a team like that gets back to glory. I've been thinking a lot about it actually. There's like watching them storm outside the Garden and in Midtown. Like I think if the Jets were ever back in the playoffs or going on a run to the Super Bowl,
the place would burn down.
The city would burn, man. The city would. It would be the Knicks times 1,000, I think, if the Jets ever got back to that level of competitive nature. And so it's been cool to see. Again, not a Knicks fan. I'm not even going to tell you I'm a Knicks admirer, but I think it's good for the area. And I'm pumped for you. I know PJ, I know Nick are diehard Knicks fans. They're into it. So pumped for the boys in the chat. And it's just good for the area in general. It's good for the NBA. The Knicks being good is good for the NBA when you have a team in the market in the world that's competing for a title. I think it's good for business everywhere. So,
but I think as of right now, we could officially put the King of New York conversation to bed. It's Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, no doubt.
1,000. Don't give me no Aaron Judge. Don't give me none of that bullshit. It's fucking Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Aaron Judge hasn't won anything. I mean, if Brunson wins the title, I think he's the guy, right?
Yeah.
Judge for all he's done, he hasn't won a title, and that's what's going to follow him until he does.
Couldn't even win the World Baseball Classic, man. Come on.
So
Go
I think
0
if
for 4.
I don't know if I'm ready to say Brunson is that definitively, but if
It's more the
four-
energy. It's more the energy that surrounds him and the team and what he's brought with him, and saying, "Hey, I'm going to take a little bit of a team friendly deal to stay here because I want to build something." This is what it looks like when it works,
right,
and that's like you said. I think Jets are starving for, and dude, God help that place when it does work out.
Yeah, lot
J
of
Lot
tears.
is going down, baby.
A lot of tears will be flowing if that ever happens, man. I have no doubt it will one day. It feels like a world away, but sports is crazy though. Like everything changes. Things could change so quickly. With the Knicks signed Brunson, you don't think you're going to the finals 3 years from then.
Stranger things happen.
Yeah. So sometimes you're only a move or two away that you don't expect to pan out to just change the entire outlook of your franchise, and you just
Like taking Cade Klubnik in the 4th round. Bang!
That's where I was kind of going. I said, maybe Cade Klubnik's that guy. You never know. The Knicks haven't lost the game since they drafted Cade Klubnik, so you never know.
And I love my conspiracy theories.
Never know. Could be the good luck charm. But as always, you could find us, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Appreciate all the love and support, and we'll be coming at you soon.
Let's go, baby. Jet up.
Talk to you later, Spiga.
Later.